Hello, happy Monday. Thank you for joining me. My name is Alyssa Thomas from Penguin and Fish, where we make lovely and quirky hand embroidery kits. And I am here every weeknight at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. It's a time where we can relax and craft together for about an hour. And I typically work on projects from beginning to end so you guys can be part of the process and make with me. So tonight I am going to continue what we did on Friday, our Finish It Friday project. I'm going to continue to improv piece the back of my I Love Home quilt. So here is the improv piecing that we've done so far. This green area is what we did on Friday. Got some fun little bits hiding in there, some fun little improv pieces. We also got this piece together. This is all from scraps. Here's another one started. Scraps from the I Love Home quilt. So here is, I got the I Love Home quilt right here. So this is a project that we did a couple years ago, and we finished the front of the quilt, but I never finished the back and the rest of the quilt. So here is, it's kind of hard to see, but here is a portion of the quilt. We had some embroidery and applique on some blocks. So we had 4 blocks for this quilt along. And they all had embroidery and applique on them. And then there was a cute little border too, a little square border. So I have a lot of scraps left over from this project, and I'm trying to use up a lot of the scraps in the back of the quilt. So then I don't have to use extra fabric for the back. I'm just using fabric from the quilt already. And then I feel like it kind of honors the fabric because the same fabric is in the back, and some of this fabric will only be in this quilt then, because if I just had a fat quarter and it all goes in this quilt, then this was like that special thing that fat quarter has been waiting for. So that's what I'm doing, and I just love this improv technique where you can sew the tiny littlest bits together. I mean, look at this. We're sewing just itty bitty bits together, little slivers, and eventually it ends up getting bigger and bigger. And, this little piece, it gets bigger and bigger until it all gets together in a larger quilt. So I just love that idea. And we do have larger pieces as well. I thought we'd start tonight. I have my bag of the itty bitty scraps. Some of them I don't think can be used. So I thought this is getting kind of low. So I thought I'd dump this out and kind of separate what we can't use, and then start sewing the little pieces together and then add some large pieces. Oh, Kay! So Kay mentioned my embroidery kits are on Mass Drop right now. So I will put a link here. I forgot to do that in this post, but I will put that in the YouTube replay, and I'll edit this post when we're done here. So there's a link to, actually, if you go to Penguin and Fish on Facebook, then there's a link there. But I do have my embroidery kits for sale now on massdrop.com, and they are a lot cheaper than normal. So, and it's up for, I think, 4 more days. So it's one of those websites that have like those little sales of products for a limited amount of time, and it just changes all the time. And our kits are on this week, so you can check that out. And they should ship. It's not like an instant thing. Like, it's not like you go on Amazon and buy it and you get it right away. You order it, and then they place an order with me, and then they revamp it and then send it out. So I think it is a couple weeks to get it, but it is a big savings. So you can check that out if you'd like. Oh, the pattern of the quilt that I'm working on. So there should be a link in my post here, Jennifer. It is by Jacqueline Steves. It's the I Love Home quilt along. So I think she had it, I think it was a free quilt along for a while, but now I think she has the patterns for sale. So they are available on the Jacqueline Steves website, and there should be a link in this post for that. But it was fun, and I have all these videos on file on YouTube, so you can, if you wanted to do it still sew with us and get the whole part of the process, that is on YouTube under the I Love home project, and it's all the videos are grouped together. So all right guys, let's dump these out, see what we got, separate what's usable and not, and let's just start sewing tiny pieces together. I love that magic. Garbage turns into actual fabric. I love it. All right. Oh, there's the freezer paper from the other day. Okay, here we go, you guys. My crazy workspace. So this whole improv piecing does make kind of a mess because you got fabric just everywhere. But what our kind of goal is to keep adding to this back piece until it's, you know, big enough for the whole quilt, right? So what I'm trying to do is kind of just make chunks, and every once in a while, here I'm going to get a little taller for you guys. Every once in a while, I will try and find a fabric. So maybe let's do this right now. We have larger pieces of fabric that I've been kind of integrating into this, which I kind of like. Like we have this big green fabric that's just so pretty, and some of these kind of larger scraps down here. I was just looking, you know, here is a really cool fabric that I would love to have in the back here somewhere. So maybe our next part should be like, let's see, how can we get, what would it take to sew this big chunk here? Well, it looks like I need another kind of large square of fabric here. So then I'm just looking, this will almost get us the distance here, this crazy improv piece. So we need, you know, a little chunk here, and actually we could just slice this and like call it a day, or it could go this way. I'm gonna get up a little higher. It's kind of hard to see. This is why I like working with the smaller pieces in this work area too, just because this is just a whole lot of space using up here. But yeah, we could just add a chunk here, see what we got, and then trim this across. That would kind of work. You know what? If I trim this across right away here, I might have excess here to put there. So, ooh, let's just start off there. I can maybe grow this quilt, this backing really quick tonight if I do that. So let's start there, and then we'll deal with some of these smaller pieces. So I'm basically doing the opposite of what I said I was gonna do. I was gonna go through all those little pieces, but I want like a quick win of doing this. So for this improv piecing, Gretchen, I am totally pretty much eyeballing it. And if it ends up needing like a little bit more fabric here or there, I just add it. So I'm not even going to bother pressing this really. Maybe I should. I'm not going to. So I'm going to just fold this in half just to make it a little smaller. I'm going to cut across here. I want it the same size approximately as this. So I'm going to just, and I mean, like, look how wonky this piece is. It's like way shorter on this side than this side. So maybe we should do the shorter side, and we'll just cut off the longer side. All right, so I'm going to just eyeball this. Maybe we'll just go right on here, just to make it the same size. I'm not even going to use a ruler. I'm just going along the edge here, kind of crazy. And there, I'm just going to sew this side. I'm even leaving the selvages and everything. I'm going to sew this side on to here. Ooh, it got kind of bigger. Oh, well. I forgot. This is probably stretch out a little bit. I wonder if I cut this side any larger. Nope. Anyway, so I will probably trim off a portion of this as well. Oh, the color dots. So this is from a selvage. So what a selvage is, it's the edge of the fabric. You can see right here. It's where the machine to make the fabric kind of grabs the fabric to pull it through. It's usually more tightly woven. It's usually a little stronger than the rest of the fabric, so it's usually cut off. Just so you don't have that weird piece in there. But a lot of times, most of the time, a company, so this is a selvage here too, and you can see these holes again. Most of the time, a company will print all the colors that are in the fabric there, in the fabric piece as well on the selvage, just to make sure that like every color has been printed. So you can see this has at least, we cut it off here, but it at least has 10 colors in this fabric. And this is that pretty blue fabric here. So there are at least 10 colors in here, and there's this kind of gold in here, so I'm guessing there's maybe 11, 12, 13, 14 colors that we've cut off here, but that's how many colors, not necessarily colors, but how many times it has to run through the machine, basically, how many times it's been screen printed. So yeah, so a lot of times it has the name. Let's see if I can find one that has the full thing on here. Usually it has the name of, here we go. Here's one. The name of the designer and the company, and then it'll have like the number of like layers basically. So Roe Greg for Northcott, and then this one has 8 colors in this crazy fabric here. So yeah. So whenever you see that in a store or something, that's called the selvage. And yeah, it has a lot of information on there. How many things were printed, and that's where you can find the designer and the company that made it typically. Okay, so I'm going to just start out here, even though I already kind of made this too small, but I'm going to sew these 2 pieces together. And we're going to see what we get. I'm not sure it's for our benefit, Gretchen, the dots. And they don't always have to be dots. Some people do it other shapes and stuff. I think it's more for the manufacturer to make sure that they have them all there and they can compare colors to it. So a lot of times it's not law or anything. It's just a way to help manufacturers. So they can color correct to it. So when they're printing, there's usually something that they've gone by to mix those colors, like a printout of what the colors should look like. And so they can print those, and then they can just look at the selvage and then make sure that it matches, the colors look correct and everything if they look off. Or, like the number 4, like it went 1 through 10, that one, right? So let's say number 4 was red, but it was supposed to be yellow. Like if they accidentally printed the wrong color, then they can see right away that like, 4 is wrong. That was supposed to be yellow. So it's more of a guide for the manufacturer, and yeah, the manufacturer and the factory. Oh, yes. So Barbara says she saw a wall hanging that was like a Christmas tree pieced from selvage strips. The selvages, it's not something that people typically sew with, but it is kind of a little, like it's not a normal thing to sew with, but people use it to sew kind of fun little novelty things like that together. All right, so I am going to go through this now. I'm doing that process where I sew 2 things at once, so I always have something on the machine. So we sewed those 2 together, but in the meantime, I got to sew something else. So let's just dump this bag out and see what we got. So some of these things I think were too scrawny. Like this, I'm not going to sew with that. That's just way too thin. So I'm going to just throw some of these to the side. But some of these we could sew together. So I'm just going to kind of separate the things that look sewable, even if they are just teeny, teeny, tiny. Like, look at how small some of these things are. We got a lot of white strip capabilities here. Ooh, these are skinny, but if we just need one little extra bit on something, that's going to be helpful. See, now this is a little too skinny. We'll throw that out. So when we were working on the quilt, I just kind of threw everything in here. So that's why we have a bunch of goofy. But now that we've been sewing the back of this quilt for a little while, I'm just kind of only am left with these really unsewable pieces. So this will clear things up a little bit. Yeah, this is kind of sewable, but here, we'll cut it where it looks like it stops being sewable. And by sewable, I just mean wide enough that we can get, you know, a 1/4 inch seam allowance in there. So a little quick sorting. Some of these are cool little strips. I'm sure there's something I could do with these strips too, but at some point you just gotta call it, you know, trash, I suppose. But yeah, you could use it for stuffing or something. Oh, Pam, you keep a glass jar of selvages. That sounds really neat. Yeah, so someone here mentioned those Christmas ornaments that are those like clear balls that you can put stuff in. That just seems so cool. Like, I'm going to have to find those somewhere and just get a bunch because I have so many little goofy, scrappy things like this that I think would be really good. That would be a really good solution for it. All right, we're just going to keep that piece. So, you know, any normal person would be like, okay, these are small. They're garbage. But we're going to sew them together. That's kind of the fun of this improv piecing is these pieces of basically garbage eventually end up being something. That makes me happy. Makes me happy reusing this stuff. Oh my gosh, Jenna, you wrap all your selvages into a ball and it's about 14 inches in diameter right now. Oh, that's funny. Have to set that on the mantle or something. Here's a couple, like, see, here's Earth Tones is printed on the selvage here. So that's the name of this fabric collection. All right, we got a few pieces we can work with here. So I'm going to just start grabbing some of these. Oh, you put all the charming chevrons, the excess stuff from there, together in a ball. That's cool. You know, another fun thing with this improv piecing. Well, first of all, for the charming chevrons quilt, we did the same thing. We improv pieced the back. But, you know, with this piece, I'm just kind of sewing everything together and it's ending up being this mishmash of rectangles. But for the charming chevrons quilt, we improv pieced into squares. Like, I kept improv piecing, sewing things together until it looked squarish. And then I cut it in half. Like, I cut it on the diagonal so they were 2 triangles, and I turned those into chevrons. So, you know, you don't have to just do how I'm doing with this one where it's just a bunch of rectangles together. You can actually just make it into a chunk of fabric and then cut it up however you want and, you know, make a whole nother block out of it. So that's an idea. But this time I'm just, let's sew as many pieces together as we can. Ooh, this is a good strip. So yeah, this is a nice long strip. So if I need, you know, an extra inch on an edge, I'll do that. Okay, I'm gonna set that one to the side actually. And I got a few that fell down here. So let's just do a quick sorting. This is great. I'm gonna just kind of grab and go and we'll sew a bunch of small pieces together for a little while here, I think. And then we'll go back to that large piece. Let's try and make make something that we can sew to a bigger piece. So we just have to make this a little bigger. Oh, see, I love that. Robin, I like doing that too. So what I do for my, I sell fat quarter bundles of my fabric. So I have a few of those left. I don't make fabric anymore, so what's kind of in the shop is what I have left. When I cut my fabric, when you take it off of the bolt, it's like folded in half. I just cut the fold off, and I use the fold to tie around the bundles. Versus the selvage, I just trim the fold off, which is easier than opening it up and trimming it, and then I just just use that. I take a couple of those and tie it around. But yeah, that's cute. I like when fabric shops do stuff like that. All right, some of these I'm just kind of trimming. Like this must have been an applique piece that we cut out. I'm just trimming off all the little edges that we can't really use. Just cut it into squares. It's easier to sew. Oh, that's cutting it close for a piece. Oh, we got some larger pieces here. I don't know, Robin. So I'm not working with any manufacturers right now for fabric. I was for years and years, and then just stopped. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm not doing any new fabric right now. Maybe in the future. All right, we got a few more of these little pieces here. All right, so this is what we have to work with right here. This is about it. So again, I'm going to just kind of grab pieces that are about the same size and sew them together and keep doing that. And we got one of these big triangles. Those have been helpful in this process a little bit. And I think that's about it. So we got all our pieces. I mean, look, we cleared out all of this, so this is good. So this was the stuff that we can't sew with because it's too little. So good. Got my area cleared up. So I'm gonna get a little bit higher here so you can kind of see what I'm grabbing. All right, so let's just grab something. I'm gonna grab this little green guy here. Let's find something that's the same height. So this is basically how improv piecing, the way I do it, goes. So you grab two pieces, right? So they're different heights. So what we have to do is make them the same height. So how we can do that is we can cut this piece off. So we have two pieces that are the same height, or we can add another piece to this piece so it's as tall. Or it could go this way and, the same deal. So what I'm going to try and find now is a piece that about this big that will, make the distance here. So let's just kind of sneak around here. So this is it's a little wide. Ooh, but if we go this way, so that's pretty good. So like if we sew these two pieces together, keep in mind that we lose 1/4 of an inch on both sides. So this is about the right height here. So that's good. We found a piece that will probably work. And if it's not, like this one gets a little bit bigger, we can just trim these off later. So I'm gonna sew these two pieces together first, and then we will sew it to this piece. But remember, we're sewing, we're kind of keeping the machine moving. So I can't sew those two together until it comes off the machine. So we got to find another one to do first. But here's that first one. Ooh, let's cut the leader off. So here we sewed that big orange piece to this. So we'll deal with that later. I want to focus on this area now. All right, let's take a larger piece. Let's take this guy. So we have this fuzzy selvage. I'm not going to sew that. I'm going to try and find a piece that's a similar height. All right, so I think if I sew, like these two look similar. If I sew these two together, ooh, oh, that's a lot taller than I thought. How about this piece? There we go. These might go together. So let's throw that piece away and do this. All right. So let's sew these two. I mean, these are small pieces, so it's silly to be working with them, but I just love it. All right, so here's those first two pieces. Now they're sewn together like 2002. I'm going to just finger press them, which just means I'm just folding it and instead of pressing it with the iron, just because that takes too much time, I'm just doing it with my fingers. And if it starts getting unruly, then I'll do it with the iron. And look, we still need some height on here. So let's find something else to sew to it. All right, that's kind of the same height. This will do maybe. Okay, now this guy is off. Yeah, I mean, this is, you gotta be kind of maybe a little bit crazy to do this little stitching. Oh, see, look, now this is just about the same height. Good enough. I mean, I could get a little tiny piece to equal it out here, but I'm just gonna trim it off. At some point, you just gotta be like, okay, I'm just gonna trim it. But yeah, you gotta be okay with the process of this. That's for sure, because it is just crazy to think that you're gonna end up with a big piece of fabric by sewing all these little pieces together. It's a little obsessive, but I just love doing it. Oh gosh, wow, I did not sew that guy on straight at all. But let's see, how is it for size? Yeah, no, this one's too big. Maybe we can find a piece that works better. Maybe we'll just keep that green one out. It's fun though. It's like a little puzzle pieces, and it's kind of about making kind of quick decisions too, I think. Even though now I'm putzing around with it a little bit. These two pieces are about the same. I'm going to sew these two pieces together. We're veering away from what I was doing. When you find two pieces that fit, you just go for it. Okay. Ooh, now look. So this wasn't what my plan was, but look, these ones are about the same height. So I'm going to do that. Do these together instead. I don't know what my plan was for that, but now this is the new plan. Oh, you're making the knitted hexy puffs. I want to try that. I saw a pattern for that too. Somewhere at some point. All right, I just need to add a little chunk to this. This piece almost fits. So maybe it fits on this side better. So I was going to quilt today, do some free motion quilting today, but so we'll probably do some free motion quilting tomorrow, but all of this was on my table here still, and it was going to take a long time to put away. So I'm like, let's just do some more of this improv piecing. It's kind of satisfying. Ooh, that piece is perfect. Check that out. That's just perfect on there. Right now I just feel like I'm cleaning here. I just want to clean up all of these pieces. All right. All these pieces are too small now. Ooh, this one looks long enough. I'm going to do this one and then trim it down. Actually, it's this one. Yeah. All right. They're getting bigger here. Oh, yes, Leslie, I did have a Finish It Friday. You know what? I might not have gotten that video up yet. So the Finish It Friday was basically what we're doing here. That's why I have all this out. So I will get that video up tonight, and I will get this one up as well. So this was the Finish It Friday. So every first Friday of the month, I work on a project that I haven't worked on in ages and try and get an hour further along on it. And that was this. That was the improv piecing on the back of this quilt. And we did. We almost doubled the size of the back of the quilt. I mean, we did put some pretty large chunks on compared to what we're doing tonight. Look, it's turning into fabric, though. It's a bigger piece. So this is what we did. And since it was all sitting out here yet, I'm just kind of continuing it. It is, I do feel like that feeling of when you use up stuff and you know you didn't waste anything, and it's kind of a little panicky feeling, actually, a little bit like, oh, I got to use up the stuff and whatever. And but it also feels good. Okay, these two pieces kind of fit together. I feel like I'm cleaning. So let's try and empty this area. I wonder, so you saw all the little pieces of fabric here. I wonder how big that'll end up being. Ooh, these two might be able to fit together now. Oh yeah, check that out. See, that's the fun part. Like all of a sudden you work on all these little pieces, then all of a sudden, woo, they start fitting together. I like it. And then that's when it gets, the piece gets bigger really quickly. All right, what can go here? We have a lot of this cream fabric, but it's kind of bigger pieces, so we'll have to use those later. Oh, that kind of works, this little selvage. Let's do that. Oh, let's do right sides together, though. Still have to do that. I mean, some of these skinny little pieces are just going to be slivers in here, but I think that's going to be cute. Oh, you have a little basket full of Splendid Sampler 2 pieces. Yeah, I just can't get rid of them. And I mean, really, I mean, these pieces do actually grow into quite a large, you know, quite a big piece after a while. It's pretty neat. So this is definitely a fun option, I think. All right, I'm not quite big enough to add one of these white strips. I need a little bit more here, so let's just keep adding to this. Ooh, but this looks like it might fit. Ooh, yeah, that's good. We got this little kind of goofy zigzag thing happening with this fabric, which is kind of fun. Just kind of getting it started and then lining it up after. So they're not all perfect, but that's okay. If some selvages are a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, or if I have to trim down an edge, that's fine. All right, I think now a piece like this could go on there. Yep, that'll fit. All I'm trying to do is find pieces that are the same size, or making pieces the same size by adding a piece to it, that's all. I was really nervous to do this for the first time because I'm like, well, how do I, you know, the pieces have to be the same size, and what if it gets all weird? And but it's actually pretty simple once you get going. But I mean, these are really small pieces. Like this is a 1/4 inch wide. And eventually, you know, this is starting to get like a little ripply and stuff. I may actually press this after a little while, but that's a good chunk of fabric right there. Okay, what next? What can sew onto this? You know, we could do, oh wait, yeah, I was trying to make this bigger, that's right. We still need like a 1/2 inch or so there. What's happening with this piece? Ooh, this kind of fits. Oh, this one kind of needs a 1/2 inch too. Maybe this one can sew onto this one. That'd be kind of fun. Oh, those are a little different length too. I feel like I'm starting to get picky here. That's not good. And you know, if you want to sew something onto it and cut it down, that's fine too. So like if we, let's just do that. Let's just sew this piece across here and trim it. That is legal as well. All right, next. Oh, I've never done that before, like a mosaic. Oh, you mean like a literal tile mosaic? I thought it was like some fancy quilting thing. I have not done that though. I've not done a tile mosaic either. That'd be fun. See, now you're gonna get me interested in another craft, and oh man, I got plenty of crafts that I'm dealing with right now. All right, this piece just gets longer and longer, but that's fine, I think. Let's sew these two little pieces together. We're gonna start something fresh here. All right, so here's that piece that we cut longer than that I sewed on that was longer than the others, which is totally fine. All I'm gonna do is trim it right off. Trim it in line with the piece that's before. There, all right. Is this long enough now? I'm just keep trying to get it long enough to stitch to here, but I don't think it is yet. Nope. Let's do that one more time, I think. Oh, I think I need a thicker piece though. Let's sew this onto it and trim it off. Yeah, I would love to clean this up so I don't have the baggie at all anymore. Gosh, you guys, it's already 9:15. We've been doing this forever already tonight. It feels like I just started. Maybe just keep adding to this. Hello, Aaliyah. We are improv piecing. I am just working on the back of my I Love Home quilt from a couple years ago. Gosh, can you believe it's been a couple years since the I Love Home quilt? This is such a cool, I mean, this is turning out to be like a really neat little modern piece here, I think. Little design piece. This has got to be long enough now to add this strip, I would like to think. Yeah, okay, we're good now. But yeah, just these are all the scraps from the back, from the front of the quilt, and I'm sewing them all together to construct the back of my quilt. So this was actually our Finish It Friday project, and that's what brought it up. You know, Finish It Friday, we work on a project that I haven't worked on in a long time. You know, it's the day, I think it's a good idea, the whole idea of Finish It Friday, where every once in a while you just drop whatever project you're working on, because chances are you need a little break from it anyway, and just break out one of your unfinished projects and see if you can make any progress on that. And that's what we're doing here, and I just decided to continue working on it tonight. I need like one other little piece on here to make it work. It's kind of a big piece. Yeah, this one will work. So I really love it, Aaliyah. Like I did this for the back of the Charming Chevrons quilt, and I also did this for the back of my Splendid Sampler 1, the first Splendid Sampler quilt. The Splendid Sampler 1 I did similar to this, where I just did a bunch of squares. But okay, so we kind of have a square here right now. So for the Charming Chevrons quilt, I would get this far with it, and then I would cut it on a diagonal, and then revamp the squares so I'd get like a diagonal sewn together. And I actually made a bunch of little chevron shapes from squares that I improv pieced. And so that was new to me. I hadn't done that, where I made the improv piece and then cut it again to form something else. All right, I'm wondering what to sew this to now. Oh, you know, we cut off all that yellow, so we can be trying to add it to this too here. And you know what? I'm almost wide enough. Ooh, I think I am just wide enough. So let's take this yellow piece. I'm going to shimmy these out of the way for a sec. We're still going to play with these small pieces, but let's just let's equalize this piece. So it's got this weird L shape in. I'm going to just trim that off. You know, we'll use this shape for something else, but I just want to like clean this up. So we got a straight line here. There's a little nick out of it too, so I'm just totally eyeballing it. There, so we got this nice piece for our little smaller improv piecing things here. Ooh, yeah, look at this is crazy. So I'm going to just trim this off, try to straighten this out. Again, I'm not using a ruler or anything. This is kind of a fun piece. Let's make this into a rectangle. There, so we can use this piece later. And oh, let's just trim this off. There, and this can turn into some other smaller pieces. It's just got that weird shape, so I'm just getting rid of that weird shape. There, all right. So we trimmed that up, and now we have a few more pieces to work with. But this long piece here, I think, is just about the right size that we can sew. The smaller piece that we've been working on all night, I think we can attach it to this larger piece. Yeah, this is totally gonna work. Okay. Ooh, it might be a little small. Go up this side. Yeah, I think if I just kind of stretch it a bit when I sew, we'll be okay. Cool, making a bigger piece. Unless it goes this way easier. Oh yeah, maybe we should go that direction. Yeah, let's do that. All right, line up the edge. Yay, so we should, I mean, be able to start attaching this to the larger piece, I think. Here's this piece that we were working with. I think I was trying to go for attaching it to this, so let's get that done. We'll have a couple of kind of biggish pieces by the time we're done here tonight. That's good. Use up a lot of our small pieces. We're getting to the point that it's, I think, time to press some of these. I got some seam allowances going in opposite directions, which isn't great because I wasn't paying very close attention, but oh well. Thinking it's not the end of the world. Okay, woo, that's cool. All right, we're definitely getting larger pieces here. Gosh, it's gonna take me ages to go through all these little pieces, but we definitely cleaned it up quite a bit. We have way less small pieces, so, and they're all usable. I'll put all these back into the bag, and I'll pull them out again, but I know they're all usable now. I would like to try and see if we can attach some of these pieces to the larger piece. So remember, we did this at the beginning. So this piece from last night. So let's see if we can attach that. I think we had to make it bigger. So I was trying to, what were we trying to do here? I think we were trying to go on the long edge here. Because again, we're trying to make our back just bigger and bigger. Let's see. We're not quite large enough yet. I think that's why we got this other piece here. Oh, I still don't think that's wide enough though. Let's see. I bet if, ooh, we could add a little strip here. This might make it wide enough. Or a couple strips. So I think what I'm going to do is I don't know if I like these two pieces close to each other. I think I'm going to flip it around. I think I'm going to sew, I think I'm just going to sew this to here, and then I'll trim it, and then we'll see how much more I need to add to it. Because I'd love to get another chunk on the back of this quilt tonight. I mean, the seams are, when they get a little bigger, they are a little more difficult to sew through. But, you know, it's not so difficult that it's breaking the needle or anything like that. All right, and just to keep with the sewing more things together, I think I'm going to try and find something to sew to this. Maybe this long piece can go on the other side. Yeah, we're just going to add that piece. Just because I don't want to take this off the machine. I want to keep my double thing sewing together here. The double project system, I suppose. Let's try and make the seams go the same way this time, though. Ooh, so That's a pretty thick seam. Had to help that one through a little bit, so I spoke too soon, I suppose. Oop. Needle down. Okay, so now I'm gonna press this, I'm gonna just finger press it open. And I will basically even this out. So what I'm gonna do is just, again, I'm gonna eyeball it. Just like that. And there we go. We got this chunk grew a little bit. That's cool. We got this neat little square here. So again, we needed to make this a little longer though. You know, actually we could probably just, this is like almost just the right size. Ooh, I'm just gonna sew this right onto here. Yeah, I'm gonna do that and call it. Yeah, let's do that. And then I barely have any left and I can just trim that off. This should be big enough to get all the way across. And I can just, I'll just trim this edge down if it's too big. Okay, and I still can't really bear to just trim that off. I gotta find 2 more pieces that work together. All right, it's gonna be these 2. They're close enough. All right. There we go. Here's that piece from before. Oh, that's kind of fun. Little sliver of a selvage in there. Okay, so again, I need to, this is a little bit bigger, so I need to kind of even it out. There we go. This is a usable piece. I'll throw it in my stack. All right, now this should be big enough that I can sew it to the back of the quilt. It's actually quite a bit bigger, it looks like. So, oh gosh, it might have been big enough without this strip on. Now I kind of feel like we should add a strip to the other side. Oh well. Oh, I kind of do. Oh man, maybe we won't get this bigger tonight because now I want to add a strip here. Because now I like this strip. This strip is cool. Let's see. Maybe we just do it anyway. Yeah, we should probably do it on this side. Let's just do it anyway, and we'll just cut that sliver off. All right, taking the whole back of this quilt. You think you would rather add than cut? I would rather add than cut too, but we're getting close to the finish here. So, and I really want this piece to get bigger, so I'm gonna cut instead. But yeah, I agree. I would rather add than cut, but that's gonna be another probably at least 20 minutes worth of, probably more like 40 minutes worth of shimmying around. So we'll just deal with this. Deal with trimming. And who knows, maybe I might be wrong. Maybe it'll be closer than I thought once I get this sewn. Ugh, big pieces are so much harder to work with than little pieces. I'll definitely show you guys this when we're done here. Maybe I'll even press it. Although it's pretty big now, I should press it on a larger a larger ironing board maybe. It's getting bigger though. We're a good size now for sure, I think. That's what we'll find out. Okay, and now I am going to put my normal leader in here again. All right, let's trim this and see what we have. Oh, let's trim it though too. So, all right, I'm gonna open it up. So yeah, we needed barely any of this because here's the edge. So, oh well, I would have liked to have added a big chunk there instead as well, but it'll just be like a little sliver of yellow, and then we'll get to use this again, which will be kind of fun too. Again, I'm just trimming it by hand. There we go. So we have this chunk to use later, and we get this little kind of frame going. Ooh, and let's trim this off. And then I will flip you guys around, and we'll see what we have. Let's just even out this piece, though, too, that we just sewed together. There we go. That's a nice looking square that we can use for this later. All right, I'm going to flip you around. Let's see how much larger this got. All right, hello. I'm standing up here. I just want to get far back enough so you guys can see. But look, it's getting bigger. Oh yeah, so yesterday, or on Friday, we sewed on that green area. So we're quite a bit larger. Here, I'm going to stand up for you guys. There, all this yellow, this little chunk here, all the yellow, and then this little chunk we did today. But it's getting bigger. I think it's kind of fun. Like, whenever we do this, it always looks like kind of fancy and modern. And there's all like little surprises in it, like these numbers, and I don't know. I just really have a good time with this improv piecing. So like I said, we do have a lot of larger chunks, like big, like fat quarter size and bigger bits of fabric. So we could actually start adding a lot of that on as well. But we do have all the little pieces. So we'll continue with the little pieces, and then we will kind of sew this into larger chunks. So when I did the Splendid Sampler 2, I actually started laying this on, well, and the Charming Chevrons. Once it got bigger like this, I started laying it on the ground and then putting my fabric down and cutting and then coming back and sewing it. And it might be getting to that stage now, at least with these bigger pieces. So I can putz around and do some of these smaller pieces here yet, just in this small space. But yeah, it's getting to be quilt size again, where I got to get on the ground to look at it a little bit more. But anyway, I will get this up on YouTube and the Friday, the Finish It Friday on YouTube at Penguin and Fish Movies, so you can do some improv piecing with me again there. And I'll put that link to the Mass Drop, where you can get all my kits are on super duper sale on Mass Drop right now, massdrop.com. So I'll throw that link up here for you as well tonight. So thanks again, guys. Hopefully tomorrow I'll have this cleaned up and we can do some more quilting, hopefully, some free motion quilting, unless I just don't have time to clean it up, and then we'll be working on this again. So awesome. Thanks again, guys, and have a great evening. Good night.